Okay, well thanks very much. So I'm going to give you a couple of short talks. I think all the talks are going to be less than 10 minutes, probably around 5 minutes each. I'm going to introduce you to the Computer Arts Society, then talk a little bit about my contribution to this exhibition. Then I'm going to play a video of one of the contributing artists, Ernest Edmonds. And then after that I'll hand over to Andy Lomaz, who I think spans both the Computer Arts Society and Flux. So that's quite a good opportunity there to introduce Flux maybe as well. So the Computer Arts Society was first established in 1968, so it's just celebrated its 50th anniversary. However, it hasn't been running continuously in that period. There was sort of what I call CAS 1, which ran from 1968 to 1984. A lot of pioneering computer arts work took place during that period from what we regard as some quite significant artists. The group was founded by George Mallon, Alan Sutcliffe and John Lansdowne. John Lansdowne in particular became a very significant figure in both computer art and design. There was a break around about 15 years, and then the group came back in around about 2004, maybe a little bit after 2000. And the reformation of the group was really to help document the first phase of CAS. The first phase of the Computer Arts Society, like I say, was significant, but it hadn't been documented as well as it should have been. Obviously at the time people didn't realise how pioneering their work was. So there were a number of research projects that were based at Birkbeck and involved the V&A and other partners, and they were looking at phase 1. My involvement didn't really start until 2010, so I'm involved in what you might call phase 2 of CAS, and as you'll find out in a minute, I'm quite interested in making sure we archive and document as we go along this time. So this is the Computer Arts Society website. The society itself is quite an amorphous thing. You don't have to pay to be a member or sign up to any terms and conditions. You basically join our mailing list, join our Facebook group, and then you're a member. I'm pondering the idea of maybe introducing some slightly more formalised membership, but I don't think it's necessary to run a successful group. So this is the website. We post news about events that are happening, updates, our own archiving and so on. We have a YouTube channel where this video or video of this talk will end up. And then we have documentation of a lot of events. So I might start with this one here, Event 2. Now, Event 2 was an event that took place at the RCA last summer. It was Event 2 because in 1968, 69, there was an Event 1. And I think within the history of CAS, the idea was that there would be regular events, but they got as far as Event 1 and then they changed the names of other events. So we thought it would be interesting to do Event 2 50 years after the first one. And this was quite a significant exhibition for a number of the partners involved. So there is some documentation of the Event 1 exhibition, but not a huge amount exists. Partners for this exhibition included Flux, as well as the Computer Arts Society, and other partners, my sort of organisation Interact, Lumen Art Projects were involved, there's Flux, the RCA of course, EVA London, which is an annual conference that takes place at the British Computer Society's offices, that's coordinated by the Computer Arts Society, and the VA were involved. So we managed to bring together a really interesting set of partners, and the exhibition is extensively documented here. So it had work from the growing CAS 50 collection, as we call it, video work from Flux, sound work, interactive work and physical work from Flux, video work from Flux, and then we also launched a series of videos with Computer Arts Society members and associates talking about their practice and approaches to curation and things like that. So we used it as quite a significant event really to celebrate 50 years of the Computer Arts Society and the time since Event 1, but also as a good excuse to get our archive up to date. So as part of that, I was involved in putting together something we call the CAS 50 collection, and this was originally intended to be a sort of one-off exhibition to celebrate 50 years of the Computer Arts Society, and I approached various members, associates of the Computer Arts Society, and some who are active now, some who are more active in the past, and we put together 12 pieces and we exhibited this in a number of locations, but we found that the interest in the collection was such that we were able to put together a second phase, and it was phase 1 and phase 2 that was exhibited as part of event 2. It came up to Leicester, where I'm based as well, and it's being shown at the V&A, and presently both phases are at the British Computer Society's headquarters in Moorgate. A lot of the artworks you'll see here are generative, in that there's a computer program that's generating the artwork, and the artist's role is to produce the algorithm, the thing that does the generation. But you'll also see other things that I think are connected with computer arts. You'll often see a lot of organic forms and generative art that generates, in this case, Daniel Brown's work, flower-like structures, flocking structures from Boredom Research. You'll also see a lot of more abstract combinations and permutations of, if you want a cursor there, of elements. And Paul Brown has a piece in the collection, but he also has an animated piece here, which I think is from a running live piece, shall I say. It's running from a computer, which is from the late 70s, I think. Paul Brown is one of the artists who actually covers both phases of CAS, the early CAS and the later CAS. Work by William Latham, Andy Lomas, a piece in the collection. In phase 2, I wanted to bring in a particular interest of mine, which is drawing machines. So we have work that's been created by, say, Damien Borowick's work, by a drawing machine. Likewise, Jack Tate's work, Patrick Tressett uses drawing machines. Brian Griffin-Smith's used plotters in the past, and so on. So we have an interesting collection, lots of documentation of Event 2, and I'm now in the process of bringing together Phase 4, which is having established that the collection is genuine and it's not a ruse for me to get access to lots of great artworks. I'm now approaching some of the early members of CAS and significant figures in the development of computer arts to see if they'll contribute a piece to the collection. And the hope is that we will have an exhibition at the BCS. The Computer Arts Society is affiliated to the British Computer Society, the BCS, so we have use of their Moorgate offices. And our next exhibition will be there, the Phase 4, as I'm calling it, collection, as well as in my base in Leicester. If you're interested in knowing a bit more about this collection, we have a lot of documentation. I try to photograph all the events and activities that we're involved in. And then other things you'll find on the CAS site include an up-to-date events guide or things that we're typically involved in. Information about the EVA conference, which is an annual exhibition and conference for electronic and visual arts, visualisation in the arts, and more things as well. So that's just a little bit about the Computer Arts Society. Like I say, it's free to join. You simply become associated with us. We have the Facebook group down here, so become a member of the Facebook group, or follow or join our email list. We still have an email list, which is quite popular, as well as the Facebook group. So if you're interested, please get involved.